We are going to be looking at Chapter 3, Section 1, Problem number 38. In this particular problem, we are asked to sketch a complete graph of the function y equals negative x squared minus 80x minus 2,000. Before I can get too much further, I got to set up my pen again, and let's choose an ink color. I'll choose dark blue. I seem to like that. Anyway, with this particular problem, if we want to make a complete sketch of this graph, we're going to have to do a couple of things here. Let me make this slightly bigger and move it up so that we can see what we're doing. And what I'm going to need to do is determine what the vertex is. So determining what my vertex is, we're going to use the fact that the x-coordinate of the vertex, which we often use the letter H for, that formula, the vertex formula, is going to be the opposite of b divided by 2a. And so in our particular problem, we're going to have the opposite of the b, which is a negative 80, divided by 2 times the a, which in our case is a negative 1. Computing this, what we're going to have, the opposite of negative 80 is positive 80, divided by a negative 2 gives us a negative 40. That's going to be the x-coordinate. To figure out the y-coordinate, we often use the letter k for that. The y-coordinate, we're going to evaluate this then. So what we're going to have is the opposite of a negative 40 squared minus 80 times the negative 40, and then minus 2,000. This looks like a good thing to do on the calculator. So let's go over here to the calculator and let's compute this. So I'm going to take the opposite of, and then we're going to have a negative 40, and make sure everything is in here, squared. And then we're going to have minus, we have 80 times, let me put this in parentheses, a negative 40 again, and then minus 2,000. Let me look at my screen, make sure I got everything in here correctly. I believe so. So this is going to be negative 400. So to look at a complete graph of this, we are going to be, everything is going to be negative on this. And so when I try to make a complete graph, we're going to put this into the calculator now. Let's put in our particular function. Our particular function is negative x squared. And then we're going to have minus 80x and minus 2,000. And before I do my graph, I got to set up the window here. Okay? This is a standard viewing window that we have here, but notice that for our particular one, we need to change this, and I never did write down what this was, did I? Okay, so this is going to be equal to, what did we have that was? Okay, let me clear this, and that's not what I wanted. I needed to just quit. Okay? We had negative 400, so this was equal to negative 400. And so we have that the vertex for this particular problem, the vertex is going to be equal to the negative 40 and negative 400. Back to the calculator. Okay? And looking at the calculator, if I can find where I am over here. Here we are. We want to go to the window, and we need to get our vertex, so we need to get much smaller than this negative 1 or negative 10. And so let's make that, say, about negative, the x minimum. Let's make that, say, negative 50. And going down here, let's make that, say, negative 30. So that would include our negative 40. So we have our negative 40 over here. So that's been included. Scale of 1 should still be okay. Okay. For our y min, we need to be below negative 400. Okay? So let's make our y min quite a bit smaller. Let's make that, say, negative, let's just make it negative 500. And this here, let's make that negative, let's make it maybe negative 350. This time I'm going to change the scale. The difference between our y min and our y max is 150. And so if I don't want too many tick marks, let's just make that, say, 10. Okay? And let's see what the graph looks like. Maybe I need to make some adjustments, but let's look at that graph now. I got a lot of marks on here. There's a somewhat complete graph for this particular function. If you want to see the axes, we would need to change our window. So if you want to see the axes, that would involve some major changes here. And so I would have to, for instance, make my y max to be 0. And that would include then the x or the y axis. And if I want to include the y axis, I would have to make that to be a 0 also. This is going to really change my window, and so if I wanted to do that, I would probably want to change this scale down here to be about 50. And I would also want to change this scale up here. Let's make that to be, say, 5. Oops, I went one too far. Make that, say, a 5. Now if we graph it, we'll see a complete graph again. But notice that we have a lot of wasted screen here because we tried to include the axes. Let's make one more change. I'm making this longer than it needs to be, but let's make another change here. Excuse me. Let's go a bit lower on this. Let's say make that negative 100. And let's also go a little bit lower here. Let's maybe make that negative 1,000. And let's look at this graph. Okay? Notice I have my scale on here. Do you like that a little bit better? Anyway, we looked at 3 different graphs of this. All of them were in some sense a complete graph. This last one shows the axes, shows quite a bit of the graph. And this will then complete this particular exercise, problem number 38 out of section 3.1.